in and Chad in. And let's see. Good afternoon, Chad.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
All right, so let me see. Yeah. Kaylee Curtis. And 2 phone numbers. Curtis. Versus Garner. Oh, okay. So I got 2 people here on the parenting time show cause. We'll let them wait. And I got 2 telephone numbers. I'm just going to bring them in and find out who they are. And then once I know, we'll go on the record.
Amber Corey.
All right, Ms. Corey, this is Judge LaFlamme. We're not on the record yet. I was just trying to figure out who you were.
Okay.
You put your name with this.
Wait, so what kind of bagel you get? 50 or what?
All right, I'm going to mute your phone, ma'am, because we're getting a lot of background. And let's see, I just let in telephone number ending in 5889. What is your name? Hello?
I'm using, hello, can you hear me?
I can. What's your name, please?
Brian Garner.
Okay, Mr. Garner, hold on. Okay, so let's see. All right, Tasha, you can put us on the record. And I'm going to call the matter of, I guess there's 2 Garner versus Garner. One is Hurd versus Garner, and the other is Corey versus Garner.
It should be 3 of them. 3 files.
There's another one, Your Honor. There's 3 of them all together.
We should have a Gingras versus Garner.
Oh, yep, I see that. Sorry. Gingras
It's okay. I
versus
thought there's
Garner.
Stacy Gingras.
All right. So, let's see. I've got Mr. Garner present and Ms. Corey is present. No one else is here on these matters. So I've got your summary. Looks like in the 97 file, Mr. Garner owes almost $26,000. Last payment in January, $26. In the 08 file, which is with Ms. Hurd, charging at $99 a month, arrearages of little north of $3,000. Last payment, $37 on January 27th. And finally, the 2018 file, which is with Ms. Corey, charging at $148 a month, $34.02 a week, arrears a little north of $2,400. Last payment, $57, January 27th.
Can I just say one thing, Your Honor?
Hold on a minute. We'll give you a chance. I want to make sure I'm up to speed on all of this stuff.
Okay, that's why I was going to update you to speed on one thing of the matter that I see that's wrong.
Just hold on, sir. I'll give you a chance.
Okay, no problem, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, and I was looking, Chad, at your notes that referee Murphy had recommended pay or stay. We can't do pay or stay. So I'm a little puzzled with that recommendation. We can do a tether. I actually did a tether for somebody where I limit. That's right, sir. But I'm talking to Mr. Smith right now. So please don't interrupt. I'm having a conversation with Mr. Smith from the front of the court.
Okay.
So, Chad, what I did, it was a case, I think it was a violation of a PPO. And the guy's working. I didn't want to cost him his job, but I had to do something to enforce his violation of my order. So what I did is I basically sentenced him to home arrest, limited him to going to and from work, and I think I allowed. Well, I can't remember. I allowed something else. There were things that he would need to do in order to stay there, and I sentenced him to his home. Since I couldn't just put him in jail on weekends, the jail's not accepting people to come and go on weekends, which is how pay or stay works.
Right.
That was at least something that was available to me. So now let me turn to you, Mr. Garner. You've been dying to tell me something. Go ahead.
Just about the 2018 case with Mrs. Corey. And I don't know how that starts in 2018 because the kids was in foster care because they got taken from Mrs. Corey. So I don't understand why that starts in 2018 when neither one of us had the kids in 2018.
Well, that would tell me then for the period of time that the foster care case was open, what happens is child support gets redirected to the Department of Health and Human Services to defray the cost of foster care. Your child support obligation does not stop when your children are in foster care. It continues.
Okay, can you answer me this question? Why does she get that money?
She shouldn't get that money.
Okay, that's all I'm concerned about because I think we both have to pay. We both should have to pay for that, in my opinion.
I agree. So hold on a minute. Let me ask you, Chad, do you have any way of telling who this support is owed to in the 2018 file?
It's a 2019, it's not an 18.
1 second, I will pull this up.
Yeah, it's a 2019 file.
Yeah, that's my error on that one.
Because Mr. Garner's right. If the children were in foster care, there's no way in the world that he should be paying child support to Miss Corey. But what routinely happens when children are put into foster care, child support gets redirected to reimburse for the foster care costs.
It appears it is owed to Miss Corey.
That doesn't make sense. I wonder if somehow that got missed. Well, tell you what, Mr. Garner, that's a legitimate concern, and we're going to look into that and make sure that the children are currently in Miss Corey's care.
Correct. They are now. I think sometime in 2019 she got them back solely.
So,
but if this starts at 18,
the current support would certainly be going to her, but the arrearage is a different matter. And that would have to be explored, but I agree with you. If you were to pay a lump sum for your child support accrued since the commencement of this case, part of that should be diverted to Department of Health and Human Services to reimburse them for foster care.
I agree with that 100%.
Your Honor.
All right.
The
Yes.
the case started charging in October of 2019. We've only received 2 payments on the file since then. There is one payment made on 3/20/2020 in the amount of $45, and then the January 21 in the amount of $50.
Well, if this is all post whenever the children or child, I don't know, how many children are involved in this file?
4.
4 children?
Correct.
If the children were all returned, if all those children were returned to her care before support started charging, it would all be owed to her.
Okay, well, that's all I wanted to make sure, Your Honor. I just, when you said 2018, I didn't know if it was going from 2018. I was going to say she didn't get custody back until 2019. So if that's all square, then I'm all fine on that.
That's my error.
Okay. All right. We just had a wrong date written on the summary. It is a 2019 file, not a 2018 file.
Okay.
Okay. So now that we've covered that, sir, are you employed?
Yes, I am.
Where are you employed?
I'm employed at John's Fine Line Painting, out of Jackson, Michigan. And the problem is right now, Your Honor, I'm only working about 2 days a week. That's where I've been struggling right now with this COVID and everything. Nobody wants us in their house. I'm struggling a little bit. I'm trying to do the best I can. I
how are you paid at this employment? Are you paid cash?
I'm paid cash, Your Honor. I got to do a
how much
1099 at the end of the year.
Gotcha. How much are you making currently, on average, per week?
Probably about $150 to $200 a week, because we're only working 1 or 2 days for the last 3 or 4 months. It's been crazy. It's never been like this ever.
And that's because there just isn't work available?
Well, basically, I mean, we always get a little slow, being a painter, that we always get a little slow in the winter, but it's been nothing like it's been because of the COVID. I'm not trying to use it for an excuse. It's a fact.
So
I can even
let me ask you, in good weather, you're painting inside and out. In bad weather, you're only painting inside. Is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. So what the recommendation is for you to pay Well, let me add it up.
I thought she had it set up for $115 a month. I believe $115, or it might have been. I was thinking $115 or $130 or something like that a week. A week.
It's up to $117 a week.
Yeah, I was just trying to add it all up. Okay. Can you pay $117 a week?
When it's right now, Your Honor, like I said, I don't even know if I'm working 3 days. You're saying we got a big job coming up here pretty soon. So, and he's saying it's going to be like 3 weeks straight worth of work, and we don't have to worry about if we get anything else. So that would be no problem at all. You know, I'm just waiting for everything to kind of kick back in again, you know, and I mean, I don't want to make no promises that I don't think that I can keep right now. You know, I mean, I don't want to sit here and give you a bunch of rigmarole, you know. I'm not sure what to do here either. You know, I mean, I have been put on the payer stay like 5 or 6 different times. I always did good on it. I paid way more than I've ever had to stay, you know, but times ain't been like it is right now. You know,
All right, well, hold on a minute. I want to hear from Ms. Corey. So, Ms. Corey, I muted your phone because there was a lot of background noise coming in.
Yeah, I got a lot of babies. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Is there anything you wanted to say?
Yes, Mr. Garner is completely lying out of his teeth right now. Like, he's sent me pictures of him buying different shoes, different jerseys, going different places, doing different things. And I'm stuck here trying to support all these kids, and 4 of them are his, and I'm doing it by myself.
Well, wait a minute. You have personal knowledge that he's working more than what he says?
He's sending me pictures of brand new shoes that he just bought, sending me pictures of money that he has, sending me pictures of Michigan jerseys he's just bought.
Things that he bought for himself?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
You're
Well,
welcome.
here's where we're at, Mr. Garner. The reality is I can't put you on pay or stay because the jail isn't letting us operate pay or stay. The only choice I have is to put you in jail. The alternative is but there's a lot of expense involved. They have a tether program that restricts your freedom somewhat. It would allow you to go to work, but it wouldn't allow you to do much else. The idea would be to make sure that you're able to work when you can, but also to have some consequences for not staying current with your child support. Based on what you're telling me, $117 a week currently, if you're only making $150 to $200 a week, is probably not possible for you. The problem, the challenge is.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Okay. The statement that she just said, that she more or less accused me of not telling the truth, she cannot prove or show you anything that she's saying right now. When I have done that, it's been well over a year ago, almost a year and a half ago, that I done that. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you I did send her pictures of some jerseys I bought. But that's been well over a year ago. That ain't nothing that's been recently. So that's
All
a
right.
false statement that she made there.
All right. I want you to listen to me and don't worry about what she said, okay?
Okay, that's fine.
And I lost my train of thought. I see that under the current situation, that 117 a week is probably pretty much going to guarantee that you fail this plan. How did you get so far behind in that 97 case?
That 97 case, it was just, I mean, I have no excuse really for it. I mean, there's a lot of things that ain't right about the 97 case, but I'm not going to even go into that.
All right. Well, usually the only time I see a rearage is that big is when someone spent most of the time in jail and never communicated to the friend of the court that they were in jail or prison. So it just kept piling up. I was curious. You didn't tell me that, which tells me you haven't been very good at paying your child support on any of your open cases. Chad, do you know if he's ever been prosecuted for felony non-payment of support?
The only file that he would be eligible for that due to the arrears is the 97 file. Let me check and see if I can find anything on that.
When I see a arrearage that high, that's what makes me wonder, why in the world hasn't he been prosecuted?
I've been in front of Bates for probably 8 years, and I've got put on the pay stay, and I've done good on it. Now, Miss Corey, with her $2,000 that I ordered, she's like out for bud right now, and you know, she's kept them kids from me for almost a year. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess you're gonna have to do what you're gonna have to do, but
Looks like it was submitted on 8/24/2016 to the Attorney General's office, and they would not prosecute.
All right. Okay. So what I'm inclined to do, when is this new job supposed to start for you, Mr. Garner?
the big job is supposed to start for us next coming Monday. And it's like a 3-week job, he told me. I mean, if it helps you, I can give you my boss's number, you know, and everything. And if you want to call and touch base for him or with him, that I'm telling the truth about everything that I'm telling you right now about how it works, you know, what it has been, I'm willing to give you a number.
Mr. Garner, I'm assuming that you're telling me the truth, and particularly about this big job. So if you start Monday, when would you see your first paycheck?
You would see it the following Friday. I get paid every Friday.
All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to order that you pay the $117 a month. I'm sorry, $117 a week, starting next Friday. Okay. So the first payment won't be due until February 26th. And I expect you to keep making that payment weekly going forward. If there's another failure of this payment plan, what's going to happen is I'm not going to have any choice. I'm going to have to just put you in jail, which isn't going to do anybody any good.
No,
but I need something hanging over your head to make sure that you step up. Ms. Corey's got her hands full with children. She needs help. This is for her kids. It's for your kids. It's not for her. I want to make sure that they're well clothed and well fed, and it's going to be a challenge for her to do that without you doing your part. So, Chad, you'll write that up and send it in to me?
Yeah, sure. How long did you want that to go for? When did you?
Well, let me see. How much? I think it needs to go until he's caught up his arrearage.
Okay.
Well, you might as well say to the day I go in my casket. But that's fine.
That's it.
All right. I will get that order written up and sent over to you, Judge.
All right. Thank you, Chad. All right, Ms. Corey and Mr. Garner, that concludes our hearing. Have a good day.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, and let's see. So that's all you had was those 3 Garner files. Oh, he's gone. All right. Okay, next up is Adams versus Curtis. Let me get them in. Okay, Ms. Curtis, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, and it looks like Mr. Adams present. Mr. Adams, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Mr. Adams? I can now.
There we go.
Okay, we're on the record for some parenting time denials
Yes.
in the matter of Curtis versus Adams. I've got a summary from the referee. And according to this, it indicates that you haven't had any parenting time since this past November. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Ms. Curtis, do you acknowledge that you've not allowed Mr. Adams to exercise any parenting time since November?
Yes, I do.
All right, so I'm going to take some testimony from you, and then I'll give Mr. Adams a chance to respond. Ms. Curtis, would you raise your right hand, please?
I'm sorry.
You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
You can put your hand down. State your full name, please.
Haley Ann Curtis.
So, Ms. Curtis, the current order affords what kind of parenting time to Mr. Adams?
Every other weekend, Friday at 5 p.m. to Sunday at 5 p.m.
All right, and apparently he had been exercising that up until sometime this past November, is that right?
Yes, sir.
What happened well, let me back up. Looks like you have one child together, Aubrielle.
Yes, sir.
And Aubrielle looks like she's
She's 5.
5 years old?
Yes.
Okay. All right, what happened in November to cause you to not allow Mr. Adams to have parenting time with Aubrielle?
Okay, so I believe parenting time was established in September. Mr. Adams went and filed for parenting time. Up until then, he never has. So when we first met with the first referee, he asked if I was willing to initiate or allow him to have some parenting time. And the way he had explained it was like that it would be like a temporary thing, and we would revisit it later on to see if a bond had been reestablished. So I agreed, and it was pretty quickly. He let Mr. Adams choose when he wanted to start parenting time. So I believe we met we had a call on Thursday, and the parenting time started the very next day. So I didn't have a lot of time to get Aubrielle prepared to go be with her father. She has never gone to be with him up until then. So I thought I'd go ahead and give it a shot.
Yeah, let me stop you. I want to back up just a little bit to make sure I've got the picture. So prior to September, how often had Mr. Adams seen Aubrielle?
A few times. Once when she was an infant, once when he got out of prison. It maybe a handful of times.
When did he get out of prison?
I believe March of, hold on, I believe 19. I'm not 100% sure.
And he went into prison when she was still an infant?
She was 2, almost 2.
So from the time he saw her as an infant until she was 2, he only saw her once?
Yes.
Do you know why that is?
It was not on my side. That had nothing to do with me. I actually took her to see him the one time he did see her.
Okay, and then he went to prison, and he got out of prison in March of 2019. When did he next make an attempt to see her?
Well, Aubriel has a relationship with his mother and his siblings. So his mom helped me a lot when I had to work. I would work doubles a lot. I work at a nursing home. So she would keep Aubriel for me the days that I worked like 3/16s in a row. So she has a relationship with her grandma, and she went to his mother's house either a few days after he got out, and she seen him again then. And she was about, oh geez, 3, 4.
So he would see her on occasion when his mother was babysitting for you.
Or if she just went to visit his mom and he happened to be there, she would see him then.
Does she still regularly see Mr. Adams' mother?
She has not seen his mother since August.
Why is that?
Because I felt like I made it every time she'd go to grandma, even when they'd ask for her, grandma doesn't have a vehicle and I live in Lansing. So I would do all the transportation and everything. And I felt like I was very fair with that. So I would always, if she asked for her, I would try to make a point to make sure that she could go if it worked with my work schedule or however it may go. And I would take her down for, 2-3 days overnight. That way they all had time to see her. And it is 35-minute drive, but still. So
But
after I'm sorry.
Aubriel knows her grandmother. They've got a good relationship. She likes to see her grandma just like all grandkids do.
Yeah, she knows her grandma. She knows her sister, Mr. Adams' oldest daughter. She knows her aunts. She knows the family. She just didn't have a relationship with Mr. Adams.
You mentioned a sister. What's the sister's name?
Oh, geez, I don't want to mess it up.
That's all right. I'm not worried that much.
Ariana.
How old is
I'm sorry.
Ariana?
Yes.
How old is Ariana?
Not 100% sure. I want to say like 8.
And who does Ariana live with?
I would assume her mother. I'm not 100% sure.
But Aubriel would see Ariana when she visited her grandmother?
Yes, both the girls would go there quite often.
Okay. All right, so I've got a picture of what led up to the parenting time order that the referee fashioned. But then beginning in November, shortly after this started, looks like if it started in September and ended in November, it was only in place for a couple of months.
Yes, sir.
What happened in November that caused the parenting time to stop?
Okay, so we had started the parenting time in September, and I knew the first time she went, it wouldn't be the best. So I knew she'd be tearful and she'd be upset about leaving. So I expected that the first time. So after the first time, every time she went, she would cry, kick and scream the whole way there. And then when she'd come home, her behavior was off. She'd say things like, "Mommy, if I be good, can I stay home?" And it just became, so I started trying to communicate that with Mr. Adams. And it was like nothing I said. It was like he didn't care. Either way it went, he didn't care how she felt about it. So at some point after trying to communicate with him and him not coming to an agreement with me, I just decided that I would keep her home. I'm not going to punish her, and I'm not going to make her feel like going to see her father is a punishment. So another time we had an arrangement where I worked second shift and I wasn't able to meet at the specific time and meeting place. So I was trying to work something out with him, Mr. Adams, and his girlfriend. And then next thing I know, I get a motion in the mail for another court date. And I believe that was I'll have to look at my paperwork. But they were asking for more parenting time, like more days of the week. And she's already not handling the weekend that she goes. But he didn't show up to that hearing, so that got canceled.
All right. All right. So I've got a good flavor for what's going on. Let me ask you, when she was going to see Mr. Adams, was she going to his home?
Yeah, she was going to, yes, his home with his girlfriend.
Okay. And do you know if there are any other children in that home?
I know that she has children. I don't know if they're home when Aubrielle went to visit.
Okay. So your position is your daughter reacts so strongly that you don't want to force her to go when she's so uh, uh, when she is so upset about going.
Exactly. One time I had to buy her a baby doll just to get her in the car to go. Like, I just feel like I don't want her to feel like she's punished by going to see her dad. I want her to feel like, oh yeah, I get to go see my dad. Not, oh, I'm gonna, you know what I mean?
Do you have any other concerns about Mr. Adams' home or the environment there, or is it just strictly her resistance to going?
Well, her resistance is one thing. And Mr. Adams is like, it's almost like it's all his way or no way. There's no compromise. So when you try to talk to him, there's no compromising with him. So when we went in front of the last referee, he was so against everything that she had to offer that we ended up, she just ended the hearing and said we were going to go in front of a judge. And that worries me that he got so worked up in a court environment that it makes me wonder what he does in front of my 5-year-old daughter.
All right. Mr. Adams, are there any questions that you would like me to ask Ms. Curtis?
No.
All right. Well, let me hear from you, sir. Well, would you raise your right hand, please? You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right. And your name is Patrick Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, you've heard Ms. Curtis testify how her daughter doesn't want to go, that she screams and fights, and it's a real task to get her to go. Do you acknowledge that?
I have. The first time we made up to pick her up, she was crying. But as you know, I also have another daughter, so I know how to deal with a crying kid. I've said it before that, as soon as she gets in the car with me and we pull off, she's fine. It's just I guess we'd call it separation anxiety from her mother that gets her so worked up.
So once she's with you, she settles down.
Yeah.
But is it clear to you that she doesn't want to go?
Sometimes.
So
not every time here that she, like a few times she did, she was out of the car and in my car with no problem. She gave her mom and her other sister a hug and it was no problem. And then other times she didn't want to go.
Would you acknowledge that the more recent visits, she was resistant to going with you?
No, I wouldn't say that. Maybe there at home she was, but not when I saw her, when we were at our meeting spot.
So what the referee was trying to do is to figure out if she could get the two of you to agree to something. Because if she can't get you to agree, she doesn't have any choice except just to send it to me.
Right.
So that's why you're here. Frankly, I try to do the same thing to see if there's a way we can. The biggest obstacle here is the impact upon your daughter.
Yes.
It is unusual that we would go from no relationship to regular parenting time. I don't normally do that. I acknowledge the problem. If you got a child that really doesn't want to go, it doesn't help to force the issue.
Right.
What is better is to try to fashion something to get her to where this is something she looks forward to. And that's what normally happens when kids are going to visit a parent. They begin to develop a bond, and it's clear that whatever bond you might have had with this child is probably minimal right now. I realize you want to have a bond with her. The best way to develop a good bond is to do something like this gradually, to
Right.
get to a point where she feels comfortable and wants to go.
Right.
Otherwise, there's just going to be a wedge between you for who knows how long. So right now, Miss Curtis, you live in Lansing.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Adams, where do you live?
I live in Jackson.
All right. So it sounds like Mr. Adams, what's your relationship with your mother? Is that a good relationship?
Yeah, very good.
From what's been testified to and what's in the report that I got from the referee, Aubrielle has a relationship with your mother. Sounds like she likes to see her, wants to see her. If Aubrielle knows she's coming to see her grandmother, but is able to see you for some of that time, it sounds like that's not something she would be resistant to doing.
No.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What I like to do with cases like this, where we're looking at reintroduction of a child, or in this case, it's more introduction than reintroduction, to go slowly, to go in stages, and I don't like to spell out what those stages are ahead of time. Typically, what I'll do, even though it's more work for me, is I'll say, okay, let's try this for 2 months. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to have a review hearing in 2 months. I'm going to talk to both of you. I'm going to see how it's going. The review hearings aren't necessary. If things are going well and the two of you decide on your own, it's okay to move on to a greater introduction. That's what I'd like to do here, but I want to hear what you have to say about that, Mr. Adams.
I would agree to that, to seeing her at my mom's. The only objection that I had to the referee is that she wanted to stop me seeing her altogether. She wanted to give me a phone call every other Saturday or something like that. But she never offered for her to still be able to see me and me see her. She wanted to stop visitation altogether, and
So let me stop you. And I realize, Ms. Curtis, the problem with visits taking place at Mr. Adams' mother's home, even though your daughter would probably go there willingly, she'd be happy to see her grandmother. You end up doing all the transportation, and I get that. That's a burden. But on a temporary basis, let's try this for, let's say, 2 months and see how that goes, and then maybe come back and then see how we're doing. How does that sound to you?
Okay, my only problem with that is I'm trying, like, what would that layout be like? Would that be one day for so many hours? Would that be a weekend? How would that lay out? Because the weekends she's set up to go now are the weekends that I work, and I work 3 p.m. to 11. And then the other weekend that I have off, I have 50-50 custody of one of my children. So if I let her go on the other weekend, she would never get to see her other sister.
So the best way for her to see her sister is that the visits occur on the weekend that you're working. Is that what you're saying?
The best time for her to be able to see her grandma and Mr. Adams is the weekend that I'm working. That way, I'm not losing any time. They're getting their time. My
Gotcha.
only okay. So I was just trying to figure out the format. Would that be the whole weekend? Would that be a day? How would that work?
Well, let's talk about that. When you work on those weekends, what is your schedule?
I work Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday from 3 to 11.
Do you work on the Friday preceding that Saturday?
The Friday after?
No, before.
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't work that Friday, no.
Okay. And I didn't look back at the order, but let me see, I've got it right here. So it was from Friday at 5 to Sunday at 5. So Sunday at 5 doesn't work for you, correct?
No, it does not.
I mean, she's accustomed to spending at least one overnight with her grandmother, isn't she?
Yes.
So if we were to do a drop Friday, and then you, well, let's see, who watches her when you're working?
My oldest daughter is almost 14. She watches her for a few hours, and then their other grandma lives a mile away from us, so she comes and helps.
I got you. So how about if we started, and I don't know, Mr. Adams, is your mother fully willing to do this? I mean, we're putting a burden on her. I don't know if she works and.
No, I talked to her and asked her if she would help out if it came down to it. She's already made it known she's more than willing.
So Ms. Curtis, why couldn't we do? So I'm sorry. What hours do you work on Sundays? The weekends you're working?
3 p.m. to 11 p.m. Yes.
So if we did Friday evening to sometime earlier on Sunday, would that work for you? Give you plenty of time to get back to work?
Yes, I would have to get her probably by noon. That way I can get home and be ready.
Why don't we do that? 5 o'clock Friday, you drop. Noon Sunday, you pick up. Every other weekend, and let's see how that goes. And I'll have you both back here in 2 months so that you both have a chance to weigh in and let me know how it's going. Are we ready to move to something else? The goal would be to get her so comfortable with her father that she wants to go and stay at his house. And I think the best way to do that is for them to build relationship rather than force a relationship.
Exactly. I'm not saying, like, I'm really not trying to be rude, but I just feel like, is it in the paperwork that it's going to be at his mom's? Because it would totally defeat the purpose if I dropped her off at mom's and then he took her home.
Oh yeah, definitely. It would be, she would be staying at her grandmother's. If she knows that the instant she gets to grandma, dad's going to whisk her off to his house, she's going to resist going to grandma's house.
Exactly. That's my fear.
I want this to be something she looks forward to. And the best way to do that is to do this gradually, and let's see how it goes. And I think, Mr. Adams, once she's spent more time with you and develops a real bond, I mean, that's what we want. We want her to love you and look forward to seeing you.
Exactly.
And that's good. That's going to require more than normal parenting effort on your part, Mr. Adams, because you've been gone for so long, or for so much of her life.
I understand.
But so let's try this. When's your next weekend that you're working, Miss Curtis?
That would be this weekend. So my fear now is it's going to happen like it happened last time. She has to leave tomorrow, and the minute I go tell her that, she's going to lose it.
Well, we can, if it makes everybody more comfortable, we can wait until the next weekend.
Okay, I appreciate that.
That's good. Mr. Adams, I appreciate your willingness to try to make this work. My goal really is to get you to a point where you've got a strong daddy-daughter relationship. She's looking forward to seeing you. You're looking forward to seeing her. And it takes a little time, but let's do that. And let's not have this, she goes kicking and screaming, because that doesn't do anybody any good.
Not at
So
all.
we will start this then weekend after next. So it'll start Friday, March
March or February?
the 5th.
Okay.
Because we're coming up on, let's see, tomorrow's the 19th. Then next weekend would be Mom's weekend. So Dad's first weekend will be March 5th. We'll do that every other weekend at Grandma's house. That's where she needs to stay. That doesn't mean, she can't go somewhere with Dad, but she
Right.
definitely has to spend the night at Grandma's house. And I will bring you back here. Hold on a minute. Let's have you back on May 6th.
Will this be Zoom or in person, or we don't know yet?
It'll still be Zoom, most likely. In fact, even when we're fully back, where everybody can come in person, anyone who wants to participate by Zoom, I will allow that. I'm going to keep using Zoom from here on out. It's for people that live at some distance or because of work schedule, not to have to miss work. I'm more than willing to accommodate participation by Zoom, even when we're still holding court in session. So
Okay.
you can plan on Zoom, and let's set that for the morning. That's when I normally do my custody and parenting time stuff, is on Thursday mornings. And let's set it for 10:30 on May the 6th. So let me just make sure I got good addresses for both of you. So, ma'am, I've got you on Mall Drive in Lansing.
Yes.
And, sir, I've got you on Blair Park Drive.
Yes.
All right. I will put this in an order. We'll get it out to you. Hopefully it'll go out in tomorrow's mail. And let's see how this goes. And then we'll see you back in a couple months and see if we can't make some progress.
Awesome.
Okay,
Thank
thank you.
you.
And I would also encourage the two of you to talk as much as you can. I mean, I don't know if there's a lot of friction in the relationship, but try to get past that. I mean, it's really going to help your daughter if the two of you speak positively about the other parent around your daughter.
Okay.
Let me, I make this speech to lots of people, but children are programmed to believe their parents are good people, even when the parents aren't particularly good people, and we all have our failings. They're programmed to believe they're good. When they hear negative things about either parent, particularly from the other parent, they don't know how to process that. It just doesn't compute. And what often happens is they end up internalizing it. Well, my parent, they're not thinking through this, but this is kind of how it works. Well, I know my parent's good, and I'm hearing this bad thing about my parent. It must be my fault. It must be something that I'm doing. So talk positively about each other when you're talking to your child, and especially when your child's around, keep it at a friendly tone. If there's a serious disagreement about something, and that can happen, I get that, get her away from it. Don't let her hear it. You guys do that privately. But when she's around, it should be positive, and I guarantee you she will benefit from that. So I wish you both well. We'll see you back here in a couple of months.
Judge, that date you
Thank
gave
you.
us, it's blocked for judicial conference.
All right, hold on a minute. I just found out that's not a good day. I'm going to be at some judicial training. Thanks for checking. So instead of May 6th, it'll be May 13th.
Okay.
And we'll see you back, and we'll see how things are going. Thank you both. I
Thank you.
appreciate your willingness